Welcome to Release Readiness Live. I'm Elna Miller, your host for today. We are broadcasting from our home studios this week again to bring you some of the new features from the Winter 21 release. After our product team shares the highlights, we will be spending some time taking your questions live on the air. So we'll be monitoring both the Release Readiness Trailblazers community as well as Twitter. So post your questions as soon as you can and be sure to use the hashtag Salesforce Live. We do recommend you post your longer, more detailed questions in the community so the conversation can continue after the webcast. If we don't get to your question on the air, we'll be sure to follow up with you within a few days. Now, all of our webcasts will be available on the Salesforce Live website for later viewing. Since we may be talking about the roadmap and making some forward-looking statements, please make sure that any purchasing decisions you make are based on currently available functionality. Now let's get started with Einstein Analytics and meet our product managers.
Thanks, Elna. Hi, everyone. This is Ankita Datta. I'm a senior product manager with the Einstein Analytics team working on operational reports and dashboards. Today, I'm excited to show you some of the operational reports and dashboards Winter 21 feature highlights. So let's take a look.
With this release, we've made report subscription attachments GA. As you know, this was one of our top voted ideas, so I'm super excited to hear your feedback. Now you don't need to log in into Salesforce to get a snapshot of the data you need. Subscribe to the reports to be delivered to your inbox as attachments. Up to 15,000 rows and 30 columns are now supported as part of the file attachment. For viewing more data, users can click the link and view the report in Salesforce. And users also have a choice in formatted Excel or details-only CSV. So where would we use this feature? Let's talk about an example. Say you're a sales leader and you have a daily call in the morning with your team to discuss the forecasting and quota numbers. In order to lead this call, you need to run a report and get the relevant data. But you have a long commute ahead of you and don't quite have the time to log in into Salesforce and view all the data. Now with report subscription attachments, you don't need to log in into Salesforce to get a snapshot of the data you need. Subscribe to your reports to be delivered to your inbox as attachments. You can also see a summary of all the data such as filters, number of rows, etc. in your email. The next feature is one of my personal favorites, and from the feedback we've been hearing already, it's a huge productivity win for the admins. You can now save time by auto-adding fields to relevant custom report types at the time of creation instead of manually adding the field to each report type in your org. An admin can opt into the feature via setup. And you can add new fields to the custom report type similar to what a standard report type does. Here is a screenshot of the report subscription attachment feature and what the screen looks like. You can choose this option from the drop-down menu on the top right when you run a report. Here is a screenshot of the Auto Add CRT feature, where you can see the checkbox that is auto-checked for the relevant field types once you opt into this feature. Currently, this feature is in beta, and we will allow auto add for a number of field types such as number, text, formula, roll-up summary, lookup relationship, currency, long text, rich text area, pick list, and encrypted text. So if there is something that's missing in this list, do provide us your feedback. All right, so on to the demos. Let me first show you a demo of the report subscription attachment feature. I'm logged into my Salesforce instance. When I go to my Reports tab, I can see I have already subscribed to a few reports. Let's click into one of those reports so I can show you how I subscribe to it. I can see this drop-down over here and click on Subscribe, which opens up this pop-up. And here I can select the frequency, date, time, and if I click on Edit Attachment, I can subscribe to the report as formatted Excel or details-only CSV. Now, if I go to my inbox, I can see the various report subscription emails with the necessary details and attachments. Further, I can click on the link to open the reports in Salesforce as well. Really cool, right? All right, so now onto the CRT Auto Add demo. What I'm going to do here is go to Setup. And once I go to Setup, I'm going to search for report types and click on Continue. And then I'm going to open my Opti CRT with Products Report Type. I'm going to click on Edit Layout. And I can see the layout of the CRT over here. Now let's go to the Object Manager and search for our opportunity object. Go to Fields and Relationships. And here I'm going to create a new field of type text. Click on Next. And let's call this field Winter 21 Test Field. As you can see over here, the Add to Custom Report Type checkbox is automatically checked because this is a field of type text which is eligible for auto add. Now I'll click Next and click Save and go back and refresh my report type. And you can see that the new field has been automatically added over here in our report type. Now let's go ahead and open Opportunities with Product Report, which is based on this report type, and click on Edit. Now if I go ahead and open the Fields panel and search for Winter 21 Test Field, I can see it in the Custom Info section. So there you go. It's that easy to auto-add new fields to custom report types.
That's it for reports and dashboards. And now over to Dylan.
Thanks, Ankita. Hi, everyone. My name's Dylan Tom, and I'm an Einstein Analytics product manager working on the engagement track. I'm very excited to be here today to show you some of the latest and greatest Einstein Analytics capabilities that are going to be available in the Winter 21 release. Let's get started. All right, so let's get started. In Winter 21, we've got some very exciting improvements and added new features in many areas. We won't have time to cover all of these, but I'm going to show you a demo of table enhancements, embedded filters, and subscriptions and watchlist GA. I do have some slides at the end to cover mobile offline, templates, and an awesome dashboard builder open pilot. There's a lot to cover, so let's dive into some demos. Okay, the first item I want to demo is one-click actions. In Winter 21, we've improved record action behavior and discoverability by adding hyperlinks. So now actions such as open record, custom actions, or flows only take one click compared to multiple before. You can configure the one-click action to open record or any specific action. You can keep the action menu, or you could configure the link to open the actions menu. In addition, you can create a text or image action column to trigger any custom action on the record. That approach is using derived dimensions. The exciting part for builders is that configuration can be set on the table column as opposed to just the data set. This is great for those of you who may not have edit dataset permissions. Let's take a look at table columns. Prior to Winter 21, all group columns were frozen and metrics were scrollable. But now dashboard builders and consumers have all the control with freezing and unfreezing columns. Value table columns can be frozen to maintain context as scrolling through wide tables. And grouped columns can be unfrozen so that they are not fixed and can be scrolled. Again, dashboard builders can set the defaults for the table columns and consumers can modify the number of frozen columns in preview mode. Now, how about if I wanted to display more or less details in a table? Dashboard builders and consumers can progressively drill in and out of the data with the new Expand and Collapse table enhancement. So as a dashboard consumer, I can click on the minus sign to show summary level, and then show more detail with the plus sign option. Especially useful when consuming data with natural hierarchies. Builders can control the default grouping level when the dashboard first loads. This provides freedom to have all groups collapsed, all expanded, or somewhere in between. Note that subtotals should be turned on to show rollups in cells when groups are collapsed. Wow, a lot of amazing table enhancements in Winter 21. Next, let's talk about some embedded enhancements. Embedding dashboards is the best way to get your insights adopted and help your users make decisions based on data. We've heard a lot of feedback that you would like to include the embedded dashboards header, but are removing it as users can either see external filters being applied or they can remove them. In addition, resetting the dashboard removes external filters. To improve configuration control and the end user embedded experience, we've added the ability to lock and hide external filters. Now consumers can interact with the dashboard, see open cases for this account or for headphones, then reset it without losing the external filter, in this case, account ID, which I'm not able to remove. In addition, you can configure the embedded component to show the header but hide the external filter indicator. Again, I can interact and reset, always going back to the state when the embedded dashboard was first loaded. Moving on, there are more exciting updates on the consumption and engagement side, as Watchlist is no longer beta and now generally available. Therefore, the feature is enabled by default for your Einstein Analytics users. Just as a reminder, Watchlist allows users to specify metrics that they would like to snapshot and see changes over time. We are also excited to take the Lenses and Dashboard Widget subscription feature generally available in Winter 21. Subscribing to timely email updates means no more hunting for the metrics, charts, and tables that you routinely consult. Let them come to you in daily or weekly emails. Now you can subscribe to Lenses as well as Dashboard Widgets. Lens subscriptions work just the same as widget subscriptions, with one exception. While a widget subscription is based on a snapshot of your query, a Lens subscription is dynamic. So this means any change saved to the subscribed lens is automatically reflected in the subscription email and preview. Subscriptions feature enablement has moved from an org-wide setting to a user permission, providing you with more control on feature access. This part's important if you're using the beta feature. For subscriptions to work in GA, please assign the new Use Subscription Emails permission for users or profiles that you want to allow to receive email with your org's data. The org preference we used for the beta feature, enable email subscriptions to Einstein Analytics Dashboard Widgets, is no longer available in Analytics settings. Please note that existing subscriptions set up with the beta version of the feature will be unavailable until the new permission is assigned. Well, that's it for the demos, but let's quickly cover some exciting mobile updates, quick start templates, and Builder Pilot. Continuing with consuming anywhere, let's take a look at the exciting mobile updates. Mobile offline for iOS is beta, providing field reps, especially in health sciences, consumer goods, and retail, with full access to data even without connectivity. Data is securely downloaded with full encryption to their device when connecting to Wi-Fi. Then, when no connectivity, the iOS device will do the rest with low latency, including dashboard interactions like filtering and faceting. Offline will be enabled by default, but can be disabled by setting a flag through the connected app. Then Tables got a mobile-friendly makeover and much easier to consume on iOS, while Android's getting the Analytics tab and native embedded dashboard exploration in Salesforce mobile app. Switching now to talk about Quick Start templates. Revenue Ops Analytics is a new template that empowers sales teams to manage sales organizations in a whole new way. Einstein Analytics platform enhancements have enabled us to deliver on niche business use cases around forecasting, pipeline management, and activity analytics. In addition, with Einstein Discovery for sales, we've vastly improved the install process, making it seamless one-click flow. EA for Financial Services now covers a new subvertical with mortgage analytics. Loan officers and managers can prioritize leads to focus on and increase mortgage sales, ultimately keeping their customers happy. Predict policy renewals with insurance subvertical includes predictive insights that will empower agents to prioritize customers for policy renewals. Manufacturers with Sales Target Analytics app now have the ability to make data-driven target setting and performance tracking. Finally, Consumer Goods Analytics now comes with a custom app install option via the wizard experience. Let's talk about an exciting new pilot for those dashboard builders amongst us. Introducing EA Dashboard Components, which are essentially mini dashboards within dashboards. You can create a dashboard component with your charts, text, tables, etc., and importantly, pages. With pages and components, you can create interactive and dynamic experiences. And having one component used in many dashboards enables reusability and helps with analytics asset maintenance. Ask your AE about the pilot so that we can get you enabled. All right, that's it from me. I'm now going to hand over to Bhardwaj.
Thank you, Dylan. Hi, my name is Bhardwaj Sanikela. I'm a product manager with Einstein Discovery, and I'm very excited to share what we've been working on. Let's get right to it. After an amazing Summer 20 release, our Einstein Discovery's team did not slow down and is back with more amazing features for the Winter 21. We really hope that you will enjoy these features as much as we did building them. I am extremely happy to introduce Fast Start templates for Einstein Discovery. We want to make it easy for our users to get started with Einstein Discovery. Having that in mind, we are introducing a few new templates for this release. You can pick a template while creating a story and let Einstein Discovery create an application with the appropriate training data following best practices. If you're new to the product, this will be a great way for you to push start your journey with AI-powered data discovery and predictions. Note, please look out for additional templates in the upcoming releases. Have you ever thought of using predictions as part of your automated business processes? Well, Einstein Discovery has powered this experience in Winter 21. With the brand new Predict formula function, a user can unleash the power of predictions in automated business processes within Salesforce, such as Prediction Builder, approval processes, and many more. All the interactions with this new formula function can be done declaratively for the ease of use. Moving on, we all know a model and the predictions within the CRM context are quite invaluable. But every model needs maintenance and requires to be refreshed once in a while. Prior to Winter 21 release, this process had to be manually done. Every time there is some new data, the user had to create a new story and further redeploy the model. Not anymore. Starting Winter 21, we are making scheduled model refresh generally available. With this amazing feature, you can refresh the model and score all the records on a scheduled time frame. We also notify the user once a model has been refreshed, or if there are any additional actions to be taken. Now, let's look at a demo that highlights our amazing features for Winter 21. Let's say I'm a new user who wants to get started with Einstein Discovery. Well, It's never been easier to begin my Einstein discovery journey with the introduction of templates and stories. Let's go ahead and try to create a new story. We are going to choose a template for this story creation. For this instance, I want to maximize my win rate. I will go ahead and choose the corresponding template. While the template is running, why not take a look into our other features? This is a story page which provides you valid insights from the corresponding dataset. If you would like to know more about the data used for this story and would like to update the story, the place to do that is Edit Story Page. This page has all the information about the data used for this particular story, which includes the columns, associated filters, and the model algorithm chosen. In Winter 21 release, we have upgraded the user experience on this page. As you could see, we have highlighted the data alerts as well as filters on the columns. With this new UI, you have a clear understanding about all the filters you have applied to your data to create this specific story. Additionally, you have the complete power to explore and change the filters as you feel necessary. Further, we have introduced a new feature this release for high cardinality. In Winter 21 release, for a single column, we are doubling the cardinality limit, which was 100 to 200. A user can select the high cardinality column, in this case occupation, by choosing the settings and enabling high cardinality in the advanced options. By doing so, my model has the visibility to all the unique occupations, 142 of them, rather than just the top 100. Also, in our previous Summer 20 release, we have introduced tree-based models, specifically GBM, gradient boosting machines, and XGBoost. And in this release, we are very excited to include random forest algorithm as a pilot to this list. If you're interested, please do reach out to your account executives for more information. Once you're happy with the story and want to understand the model performance, the place to do that is our model metrics page. We have completely reimagined how we provide our metrics. This new model metrics page provides you the information in a very concise manner for your consumption. And we didn't stop there. We provide you additional information about the model metrics calculated, which can allow you to understand and make sense of the model health. We also made it easier by providing you two categories of information. One, for the path to deployment, and two, to understand the training data and model. This is split into model accuracy, pre-deployed checks, distribution of outcome, and top predictors. If you want to check the health of the model, this is the place with all the information about it. Further, we also have created new charts for model evaluation to make it easy to read. Moving on, let's see how users are consuming a model and the predictions in the CRM context. Now, let's assume that we have already deployed a story. As you can see, the predictions are visible on our Lightning component with the top predictors and the recommendations. However, if you ask me, the recommendations can be hard to interpret. But now, with the introduction of customizable prediction text feature, you can control the text around your improvements. I'm going to show you how you can use the customizable prediction text feature. I'm currently in the Model Manager page with all the models I've currently deployed in my org. Now, I'm going to select the model I'm currently using to power the predictions, which is likelihood to win. Further, I will navigate to the Model Settings modal, which contains all the information I've chosen while deploying my story. In this case, I will select the Improvements tab since I want to customize the text on the improvements I see. This page consists of variables which enables the improvements. I want my users to create more activities, so I'm going to select the number of activities completed field as something the users can use to improve their prediction. Next, I will select Specify Custom Text. Since we are using a numeric variable to give us improvements, the options are limited. Either Einstein Discovery is going to ask you to increase or decrease the value. So for increased value, I will specify custom text with a corresponding keyword. But I don't want to show any improvements for decreasing values, because that doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to disable that option. The customizable text feature will look for certain keywords. and I can put my customizable text here. Let's go back to our records and refresh the page. If you look at the recommendation, the text has changed according to our rule. Through this amazing feature, your business users can easily interpret the recommendations like never before. Why stop there? Now I will show you a scenario where our all-new predict function can be used within process automation. Assume that you have an approval process, in this case for the opportunity object. Within this approval process, you might have a step which requires the manager's consent. However, you could add a specific criteria to make sure that this process is more efficient. With the introduction of the predict function, you could use the power of Einstein discovery predictions through this business process. In this case, I want to make sure an opportunity record automatically gets approved if the predicted likelihood to win for the record is greater than 80%. I will use the functions dropdown and select advanced and further choose predict. As you can see, this function takes in a prediction definition ID and a record ID associated with it. I can also declaratively add the prediction definition ID by selecting the Insert Field button and selecting the appropriate prediction definition I want. Further, I want to include my ID and an operator which evaluates to true to satisfy my criteria. It's that easy. This predict function can be utilized on other process automation products such as Process Builder and Flow Builders. Powering your business processes with AI has never been this easy. But what about predictions in EA dashboards? Introducing the all-new Predict node on the next-gen data prep editor. Note, this feature is currently in pilot and does not yet support packaging. This is the new next-gen data prep tool. In this scenario, you have an opportunity dataset, and if you want to add predictions to this dataset, it's very simple. Click on the Add button next to the dataset node, and you should be able to see Discovery Predict. This node allows you to select a deployed prediction in your org. For this case, I will be choosing the Maximize Amount model. Once you have selected the model, you are taken to a screen which requires you to map the fields. Additionally, you could use the options to add top predictors and top improvements to your dataset. It's never been simpler to visualize the predictions and recommendations before. If you are interested, please do reach out to your account executives to get your hands on this feature. Finally, I want to show you guys the amazing capabilities of our scheduled model refresh feature. This feature is revolutionary because we are automating the process of redeploying a model when your data is refreshed. From the Analytics home, I will navigate to the Model Manager page. Here, I want to make sure that the model I have created for customer retention is refreshed on a scheduled basis. I will go ahead and select the customer retention, and in Winter 21 release, you should be able to see a new tab called Model Refresh. Click on that, and you should be able to see a screen which provides more context on the model refresh. In this case, we have already enabled the model for scheduled model refresh. I can click on the Edit Refresh Settings button to understand the current schedule and, if needed, make changes to it. As you can see, the refresh frequency is set to every month, with the day of the month and time specified. I also have a way to set the thresholds to ignore the automatic refresh if my data has changed drastically. Further, I have the option to immediately kick off a scoring job to rescore all my records for the updated model. Finally, I can get notified about the status of this refresh job and also add additional recipients. I can ask Einstein Discovery to kick off the schedule refresh anytime by just clicking on the Refresh Now button. With this new feature, we're making it easy for the users to maintain the models in production, which is very vital. That's all from my side. Jim, all yours.
Thank you, Bardwaj. Hi, my name is Jim Pan, Product Manager for Einstein Analytics. I'm excited to talk about what's new in the Winter 21 release for Data Platform.
Let's start with the next-gen data prep that is now generally available. In Winter 21, there's a whole new way to clean, prepare, and enrich your data, and that is the data prep recipes. This is the default way to create and edit recipes, and I will walk you through a demo shortly. In short, this is the future of data preparation in Einstein Analytics, and I can't wait to showcase in a few minutes. Next, Custom Fiscal Calendar is now GA. All you need to do is go to Settings in Analytics, enable it, and run your data syncs, data flows, your recipes as normal, and your date fields will automatically be processed according to your custom fiscal year setup. Also in Winter 21, we're introducing Output Connector as well as direct data for Snowflake. So yes, you can pull data from Snowflake into Einstein Analytics. Yes, you can clean, prepare, and enrich it with our next-gen data platform. Yes, you can push your ETL prepared data right back into Snowflake. And yes, you can access that data directly in your EA dashboards via direct data. The whole works. Now, let me jump right into the data prep demo. This is what the new data prep recipe looks like. It gives you a visual way to clean, prepare, and enrich your data easily, and it's available for all new recipes. And any existing recipes in your org are automatically upgraded to this format. Recipe has different node types. Input nodes to show you where your data sources come from at a glance. And that includes your existing data sets and connected data sources. Of course, we have various additional node types to prepare your data, including transform, filter, aggregate, join, or append. And of course, your output nodes for all the data sets you will create. As you build this recipe, the preview pane displays the sample data every step of the way to show how the data is modified. Let's have a quick look through each of these nodes. Filter node is pretty self-explanatory. You have point and click filtering with your own data as guide. You can see immediate feedback. Join node is also pretty self-explanatory. Join your two datasets by a set of key columns. You can, of course, adjust the fields you want to include in the output data by going to the Columns tab and making your selection. Aggregate node is just as self-explanatory. Aggregate your numerical data to a higher level. Simply choose the measures you want to aggregate, choose the fields you want to aggregate the data by, and voila. Now, transform node, that's where it gets really exciting. Let me show you around a bit. Here is a quick access toolbar with all of the most popular transforms, such as your string functions, your type conversions, date formatting, or your bucket fields and your advanced transformations. All you need to do is select the column you want to transform, click on the transform button, and that's it. Simple as that. Let's go have a look at an example that's built out already. But what if you need more functionality? Let's look at the custom formula section. Here is where you get all your string functions, your number functions, your date functions, and your advanced functions. Yes, even a case statement. All you have to do is click on the plus sign beside the function, and it will pop right into the formula editor for you. Now, you've cleaned, prepared, and enriched your data. You need to create result data sets. Let's have a look at the recipe again. Notice something different from previous recipes? Yes, multiple output nodes. You can now create multiple data sets from one data prep recipe. That is super exciting and a big improvement from the legacy recipes. Speaking of improvements, check out the new flattened transform. Now you can build security predicates directly from within a recipe. Of course, I did say this is the next generation data platform, and that means we're now able to provide machine learning transformations right in the recipe. For example, in a transform node, you now can extract sentiment directly from a text field. This transform parses out the text into vectors, applies sentiment model, and produces a sentiment value of positive, neutral, or negative. Additionally, you can also use predict missing value as a way to fill minor data gaps in your data. The model behind the scene learns how to fill that gap based on your input data. Simple yet powerful. Of course, that means as we continue expanding our feature portfolio and data platform, you can expect to see more and more smart transforms. Definitely an exciting development in the new data prep recipes.
And that's my presentation. Thank you very much. Now back to Elna for some Q&A.
All right. Well, after all, we showed you what's in Winter 21 for Einstein Analytics. So now it's time for us to take your questions. So thank you for those of you who have posted your questions already. If you have a question brewing in your head right now, go ahead and type it in right now so we can make sure to get to it during this next live segment. We have, looks like about 20 or so minutes. So definitely get those questions in now so we can give them to our product managers. So let me start with the first question for Ankita. What are the plans for making Lightning Report Builder faster, particularly when trying to add multiple fields and filters all at once with those expert report builders?
Yeah, sure. So, performance is definitely top of mind for us, and we want to accelerate the adoption of Lightning and make our report builder as close to classic as possible. So this release, right, we are mainly concentrating on that. Some of the specific things we have are things like async report builder. Basically, this will allow the user to continually interact with the Lightning report builder while in the background, the queries are sent to the backend. The other thing is Wave UI performance improvements and disable preview 2.0. And what this will do is improve rendering performance of the Lightning report builder. The third thing, which is actually a classic gap, is multi-selecting fields and dragging and dropping them, similar to what we had in Classic. And this will also increase the perceived performance for the user because they can add multiple fields to the Lightning report builder at one time. So we're trying to, get all of these changes out in our next release, and the team's like heads down working on this. And I think once all of this is done, it will dramatically increase productivity, and then you will see an increase in the performance for the Lightning report builder.
So I know that you can turn off the preview, which allows it to, you can add a bunch of things, sort of do your initial setup without having to wait for that preview to render. But are some of these changes that you're talking about, will they help speed up the preview so that you don't have to always turn it off, or you have to turn it off less often, perhaps?
Exactly, yeah. So we're working on both of them. The fact that you do not have to turn the preview off the whole time and your performance is faster is the async report builder part that I was talking about.
Okay.
And the second part is with the preview off, we'll improve the rendering performance in the Lightning report builder. So you should see an improvement with both of these things.
Great, thanks for the clarification. Now we do have a question from John about how do we opt into the beta for automatically adding new fields to custom report types?
Sure. So, there is a checkbox once you go to setup, and that's where you should be able to see that, that option to, once you go to reports and dashboards setting, you can opt into the checkbox, and that will allow you to add reports, add custom fields to report types, basically. There is more information on that on my blog post as well, that I recently posted, and I'm happy to repost it on the True to the Core community after this.
Oh, that would be great if you could do that. Yeah, I'm sure folks would like to see that. So a question for Dylan. I noticed with the subscriptions GA, you have moved from beta org preference to a user permission. What happens to the subscriptions that were created in the beta?
Right. Excellent. So good question. The short answer is they're not going away. So if you've been, your org has been using the beta feature, which you would have turned on through the org preferences, and all your users have created those subscriptions, what'll happen is until you assign the user permissions to the various users, there just won't be accessible. And then as soon as it's assigned, then they're back again. So we're not going to lose anything. It's just that, I think we also sent some communication to all the orgs that, all the customers that do have, that are using the beta at this point in time. And so just with the instructions of how to move across to assign the user permissions for subscriptions. But once those are assigned, it's as if nothing happened. But we did this because, so the longer answer, we did this because we had heard a lot of feedback in terms of being able to use this feature. We really needed to be able to assign it by user or profile level to provide that enterprise level, enablement of the feature. So that's what we've done. And we're super excited for everyone to start testing it out.
So just want to make sure I understand. So if they were using the beta feature and they've got some users that they've had the org-wide preference enabled, I guess it was, and then they have users with subscriptions, do they need to make sure those users have the permission in order to keep getting their subscriptions? Or
yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And the reason, there's also a sort of another kind of legal reason too, is that to use subscriptions, when you're actually getting data from a report or from the dashboard in an email, so that's going outside of Salesforce. So you really want to make sure which users have this capability. So that's why we've moved to that user pref. And with the beta product, we didn't really need that sort of control. We just blanket said data is going outside, but here it's an added level of security.
So can you tell as an admin who has subscribed to, could you run a report to see, what are you, like if let's say you've enabled it org-wide, but you don't know which of your users have set up subscriptions, is there a way to kind of get visibility on that to know which users need to get the permission to start with? Or do you have to just give it to everybody and then just sort of figure out?
Right. At the moment, we will, that's a great question. So at the moment, we can tell which orgs have enabled the subscription, but not which users within there. So unfortunately, that part isn't there. But what we've kind of expecting is that if someone has an Einstein Analytics subscriptions and Einstein Analytics license, then you could assign them the subscriptions, but then kind of work with your business to figure out, do these people really need to have that? And then you can kind of pull it back if you needed to. But if you add it back in again, nothing's lost. So that's good.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks. So this one is for Broadwash. If I'm new to Einstein Discovery, how would you recommend I get started?
Great question. So there are multiple ways you can get started with Einstein Discovery. So 3 main things. Number 1, whatever data set you have within Einstein Analytics, you can go ahead and create a story from it. By creating a story, you have the ability to traverse through the analysis which we provide with Einstein Discovery. So that's the first way. The second thing is with the trailheads. So again, we have comprehensive trailheads when it comes to how to create Einstein Discovery stories. What is Einstein Discovery? Just to understand what Einstein Discovery is and what kind of powers we offer. And And the third thing is obviously, as we mentioned in the the release, we introduced fast start templates. So with these fast start templates, you have the ability to click on one of the templates which are made from the best practices. And what we do is we run automatic org readiness checks. So with regards to creating a good story, so the whole purpose here is we want to provide you a story which you can make sense out of, right? So in this case, maximizing win rate or minimizing time to close, we want to make sure that your org has enough adequate amount of data so that we can take a look into it and say, okay, we can make a valid story from this, which you can use for prediction purposes. So we do the org readiness checks through the fast start templates, and then we provide you the story which you can further understand what's happening with your data, and at the same time deploy the model to power your predictions throughout your org.
So does it give you actual specific user story suggestions based on what's happening in your org? Or are they general suggestions that are commonly used stories? Or if you want to just get your head around like how do you word a story, or what types of stories do you create in a typical sales process environment or perhaps a service environment? Do the templates have kind of examples that you could use and then apply to yourself, or how does that work?
So yeah, I mean, the thing is the templates were built based on the use cases which our customers are actually using when it comes to stories for specific use cases. Right now, I mean, the thing is we have 3 templates which are available currently in 2.8, and then we're consistently adding new use cases based on the stories, which are, as you mentioned, right, the sales use cases, the service use cases, financial sector use cases, etc. Right. So we're consistently adding, but right now we do have the templates which are available are based on use cases which are available in the industry, and then we essentially say, okay, these are the best practices which our customers are actually using, right? So why don't we package them together and then create this org readiness check with with the rules, and then use those things to essentially allow the users to create a story very quickly.
So you could then roll out essentially an initial rollout with those templates and just kind of see what kind of insights you're getting, and perhaps from the usage of those sort of starter stories, your users could then start coming up with ideas about other, maybe other nuances or other types of stories that maybe once they get the idea of the mindset or how the insights are surfaced, maybe that gives them kind of a starting point, a jumping off point, so you could roll it out without having to try to figure out what are the stories we should use to begin with.
Absolutely.
That was the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, we want to make sure that you get your feet wet with Einstein Discovery, and then that's the whole thing.
That's really helpful. Thank you. A question from Lori: does Einstein Analytics have any benefits for Pardot users? Anyone want to take that one?
Yeah, so it sounds like this is a more general Einstein Analytics as opposed to Einstein Discovery. And so, yes, I think for Pardot, it's a matter of getting the data into data sets in Einstein Analytics. And then it's, we obviously focus very high on CRM use cases like you were mentioning with sales and service. But we have connectors, you can connect to external data sources, but you can also, I'm not 100% sure about all the Pardot objects in terms of bringing those into Einstein Analytics, but we can follow up with, which mechanisms you would use to get those data sets and what objects we do support from Pardot. But I know that we have talking about templates, because we were talking about templates for Einstein Discovery, but also templates for Einstein Analytics. There is a Pardot B2B out-of-the-box template which can get you up and running too. So that's a great start as well at modeling off some of the common use cases. So.
Great, thank you. So let's turn to Jim let's do a couple questions on the data platform. First of all, what languages does sentiment analysis support?
At this time, it supports primarily English. We do plan to introduce additional languages in the future. At this particular point, though, it's strictly English.
All right. And do recipes support packaging or change sets?
Absolutely. We do have the ability to package up your recipes, especially in change sets. And with respect to the nuances on what's included, obviously you would need to also incorporate the underlying data flow that's related to the recipe. But that's all part of our help and training, and it will outline exactly the step-by-step process on how to set them up in a change set, for example.
Thank you. Pavel had a really good question. He was wondering, can you subscribe? This is, by the way, I think this is for you, Ankita. Can the subscribe with attachment feature point to a Google Sheet instead of a XLS file?
No, so we do not have that functionality right now. As of right now, we're just supporting, CSV and Excel attachments. But that is a interesting use case. If you can post about it on Idea Exchange and we can collect some votes, that is the best way for us to prioritize, what's coming up from the community. We can definitely look into it in the future.
Yes, being a regular Google Sheets user, I could definitely see where you might be, using that tool more often than Excel, and maybe you want a formatted report, in Google Sheets. So that is a great question. Love it. So I'm not sure who this one is for, and we may need to follow up, maybe possibly loop in some other folks in this, because I know Einstein has a lot of different features across different areas of Salesforce products. But when we're talking about next best action feature, Anil says that he has a predict function in Workflow and Process Builder and wonders if he can use the prediction function in next best action as well.
I think that's for me. So at this point in time, so when it comes to next best action, with the specific to predict function, I don't think there's support for that at this point in time. But the thing is, I can definitely reach out to him offline. We do have the ability to work with next best action, but there is some requirement where you need to write code. Because we do have the option of using the predict service, which is essentially powering our predict function through Apex. So if you have an Apex within the same flow, you can have an Apex class, which essentially calls the same function, predict function, and then populates your next best action with your recommendations, which are required. But again, as I said, there is some code which is required at this point in time. I can speak more about that and provide the blog accordingly.
Yes, please. That would be great. And I think that question was in the community, so you should be able to just respond right there in the feed.
I'll definitely do that.
Right. And also for you, is it possible to schedule a model refresh on an existing model that's in production?
Yeah, of course. So the model refresh is, as a new feature which we added, and it's applicable for any models which are deployed in your organization. So we do totally understand that, you have existing models which are currently in production, which are, powering your predictions, be it on your, Lightning component or your predict function, wherever it is, right? So we do have the ability to establish this model refresh on any existing models as well. All you have to do is you go into Model Manager, see the predictions, which are the ones which are powering your predictions in your production. And then what you do is you select the model and then go through the same process of just establishing the model refresh context. And then, that'll kick it off automatically.
Are there any gotchas or any things to be aware of when you do that? Is like, for example, is there a delay when the refresh actually takes effect and actually shows up in the insights? Or
so I mean, the thing is, it depends on what time you schedule the refresh, right? So you can schedule it monthly on the first day of the month, right? And the thing is, we try to make sure that we stick to the schedule. And the thing is, if you want immediate refresh, we do have the option of doing that, where you just click on refresh now, and then that'll automatically refresh it. There is a gotcha there. So you cannot press the refresh now button multiple times in the same day, because we know for sure that the data has not been refreshed. So we do find the difference, and we tell you, okay, you've refreshed it today already, and then you try to refresh it again. We just tell you that, okay, something is wrong. There's no new data for us to work with, so we're just going to give you that information automatically.
Great. Appreciate. So you would recommend people generally schedule the refresh?
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, the best thing to do is schedule a refresh based on your data refresh cycle. So for example, if you have a data flow, which essentially populates a data set at a certain, schedule, make sure that your model is around the same time or, a few hours later, just to make sure that we're sticking with the data update cycle, right? So that's the recommended way.
Makes sense. Thanks. Okay, back to general reports and dashboards questions. There is a lot of proliferation of reports. A lot of customers have, gazoodles of report. Is that a word? Oh, anyway, many reports in their org, and there's duplicates. It's hard to find the right report type. Are there any plans to help folks with this situation?
Yeah, great question. So that is a major pain point with reports. And we've been hearing a lot of feedback from customers on different channels about this and, this pain point. So, we're looking into this, into multiple things, right, in the future. One is we're looking to change the report types interface so that users can search via other metadata too, other than just names. So you can look for example, objects, field names, field values, and, find reports based on that. Look for popular reports, profiles like you, frequently used, etc. The other thing we're looking at is bringing autonomous insights to reports and dashboards to give like intelligent suggestions, popular reports, fields to use, etc. And the third thing we're looking at is we're considering a unified home experience for Einstein Analytics and Operational Analytics, which sort of aligns the experience across the various Salesforce products, but also makes it easier to find reports, move it between folders, etc. Safe harbor though for all of these, these are some high level ideas that we have and things we are considering in the future for our roadmap. And based on the technical complications, the customer feedback, etc., we'll start looking into these like deeper and start working on the implementation, etc.
Gotcha. Thanks. Now, there's the new dynamic forms feature, which is amazing, has the ability to multi-select fields and drag them onto the canvas. Now, what about that in reports? We can do it in Classic, right? So can we please get this back in Lightning?
Yeah, so, definitely, something users have asked for, and good news, we are planning to implement this. So we are currently working on multi-select drag and drop for our next release. It is more complicated, in Lightning in comparison to Classic, just because of the various elements that we have in Lightning. But as I mentioned, the team is working into this, and this will be a phased release though. So in the first phase, we'll work into like dragging and dropping and multi-selecting fields to the Lightning report builder. And in the future, we look into filters or, any other feedback that we get from our customers, basically. But yeah, that's on the roadmap.
Nice. I'd love like a duplicate management feature where you'd be building a report and all of a sudden you get a message that says, someone has already built a report almost exactly like this. Do you want to check it out? That would be a great Einstein insight, wouldn't it? So like reduce that duplication if it's the same structure, same report type, etc. So
we're definitely working on those use cases, as Ankita mentioned, with autonomous insights. So very exciting. Watch out for that in the future.
Looking forward to it. All right, I think we have time for one more question. So let's go to Dylan, since I've got your attention. For freeze and unfreeze or expand and collapse, are these settings set by the dashboard builder?
Yeah, super exciting because the feature wasn't just decided as being done by the builder or the end user. So we've given the possibility for either to do this. So when the kind of similar to a lot of Salesforce, but the builder, almost like an admin or something of the dashboard, can set the default that will, like how many columns will be frozen or how many columns will be expanded and which ones of those when you first open the dashboard. But then the end user has the override to kind of change that and say, I just like to have my first column frozen, or play around with it and interact. So it is really nice. It's giving both users the control.
All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour now, so I think we're ready to wrap it up. And so thanks everybody for attending. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Just as a reminder, the recordings for all of our sessions this week will be available on the Salesforce Live website for later viewing. If we didn't get your question live on the air, don't worry, we'll follow up with you within the next few days. Or if you have a question that is just occurring to you now, just go ahead and post it and we'll follow up with you. And I would hope that you will come back again tomorrow, because we are covering Service Cloud and Field Service, and plus we have many other sessions later this week, generally at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Pacific, so please come back and join us. And I can't wait to hear how you're using new features to innovate. So let's keep the conversation going in the Release Readiness Trailblazers community, where all Trailblazers meet to be release ready.